Welcome to Iron Arrows, and due to popular requests, we are going to make pickles. These pickles came from a friend of ours' garden. He grew them without chemicals, and he just blessed us with them, just gave us a huge bag full. So ours are still growing in our garden, so we're not ready. So we're just going to do these tonight, and we'll probably do more later. What we do first is you take the pickles and you put them into cold water. What we did is put them in water, and then we put them in the fridge
to freshen them.
This container to freshen them. And then once they come out, we cut off the ends like my wife is doing right there, and mostly because the tops of them are very bitter, and so if you put them in with the pickles, they will cause the pickles to have a bitter taste. So we don't want that to happen. So, and we just slice them. You can do them whole. You can do them in dices. You can do them in slices. We're just cutting them in half and doing them like that, and it's just the way we prefer it. So, and again, you can do it in different means, but what we like to do is do it in the crock. It's a ceramic crock. We've got the crock here, and then over here we've got the weights. The weights are very important, because once you put the brine and the pickles into the crock, you use the weight to hold it down, because you need to keep the pickles, and then we cover it with a plate or whatever we have, and then we cover that with a towel. So and then it just ferments. You want to keep them cool. You don't want to keep them very hot, and depending on the weather, it will take 1 to 6 weeks to have them completely ferment to the point where they're really good pickles. So
room temperature is good. So
room temperature.
Don't put them in your fridge. Right?
Yeah, you don't want to put them in your fridge, but we want to keep them in, like, some. You don't want to keep them outside. You want to keep them inside the house, is what I meant to say. So, and the crock that we bought, I think our crock pot was somewhere around $60, and the weights were, I think they were $25, something like that. We've priced them online, and you can get a crock pot or a crock from anywhere from $50 to $100, and then the weights we've seen as cheap as $15. So and you can get whole sets and all of that, and it really is, in my opinion, the best way to do pickles. You can do them in canning jars. We did them last year in canning jars, and that's fine. They do work that way, but I think they work better in the crock. I think it's because it doesn't let the light in. Now, we did read online where somebody said that you could use a food grade plastic bucket to make pickles. We don't usually do much in plastic, so we just kind of stay away from plastic. But if you wanted to try that, I'm sure it would work. The important thing is again, you have to keep the pickles below the water line, or they will get mold on them. Our mixture is all just water, salt. You put in some black peppercorns, some dill from our garden, some garlic, and you can season it as you like, any flavor you'd like to add to the pickles, but that's really all we do. And then we just let it sit, and it will ferment. And fermented food is really good for your system. It's really good to add probiotics into your system. It's good to help your body, like, just fight off any kind of disease and things like that. So fermented food is something you really should be doing. Okay, to make the brine for the pickles, you need to add 2 tablespoons of salt to a quart of water. And so we have a gallon, so that's going to be 1 cup of salt. And you do not want to use iodized salt. You want to use sea salt or Himalayan salt or kosher salt, something that's not iodized. the iodize just won't work and won't process the pickles the way they're supposed to be. So just go ahead, and we're using Himalayan salt. You can see it's pink, and we just mix it up until it dissolves, and then we add it into the crock with some garlic and with some peppercorn and with some dill. This grows outside, and we rinsed it off with some nice Berkey water, and then we put in grape leaves.
Yeah, do not use any chlorine in any of this process.
It'll kill the fermentation process. So you do not want to use any chlorinated water. So we have a
Even with
Berkey,
rinsing.
and it sucks out all the chlorine. You can buy non-chlorinated water. If you're on a well, then you're good. Any of those things. So, alright. Okay, so we're adding the pickles. We're going to put them in there. This crock is a little bit large for how many pickles we have, but that's fine. We'll only fill it up as far as we need to. So we are probably going to purchase a smaller crock. We saw one on Amazon. You want to make sure you use pickling cucumbers and not slicing cucumbers. Pickling cucumbers they'll stay firmer and they'll stay crunchy. And if you use slicing cucumbers, they'll get very mushy. And we've learned this by experience, so learn from our mistakes and use pickling cucumbers instead. Slicing cucumbers are usually the ones you buy in the store. They're fairly large, and so if you're going to the store to buy cucumbers for pickling, you're probably not going to be getting pickling cucumbers. So a farmer's market would be a good place to go and just ask the farmer for pickling cucumbers, and if he has them, then he'll sell them to you. If not, you can also grow them in your garden. They grow really well,
And they're usually smaller.
And they're usually smaller. They're not as large as slicing cucumbers.
Alright.
Now we're adding the brine mixture, and this could end in disaster, but it looks like it's going in there pretty well. You just want to fill it up until it covers the pickles. It looks like it's going to take pretty much all of it. So there we go. And what you do is just take the weights.
We clean these with filtered water.
And you want to weigh down the pickles so that they are now all under. Make sure they're all under. Some of them are popping up, but that's alright. We'll work that out. And so then the pickles are all underneath the water.
Woohoo.
And that's pretty much all there is to it. And then we just take, we're going to buy a cover for this, but the plate is working well for us. We do that, and then we get a towel and we cover the whole thing with a towel, and then that's all you have to do. And
the towel is just to make sure any critters aren't attracted to it. It's covered, but just an extra layer of coverage.
And so you can vary how much salt you put in there. We like to use the standard proven way that's done, because based on how hot your area is, they'll ferment faster, and we're here in Tennessee and it's pretty hot here, so we like to add a lot of salt to make sure that it stays preserved and there's no chance that it would just go bad. And when we cut the ends off, part of the reason why we cut the ends off is so that they don't go mushy. And I know it kind of doesn't seem, to me it seems interesting, because you'd think it would go mushy, but it actually keeps it from going mushy. So that's part of the reason we cut the ends off. So there you go. When we get the pickles out, we'll probably do another video. So this is Iron Arrows signing off. Alright, just a quick note. One of the things that you need to do is check on your crock every couple of days, just to make sure that there's no mold growing in there. And if there happens to be, don't panic and throw everything in the garbage. Just skim the mold off, clean it off of there, and then just make sure the cucumbers and pickles are underneath the weight so that they don't float to the top. And if they have, take the ones off that might look moldy, throw them away. But the ones that are underneath the weight, they're going to be fine. Just make sure you skim it off and then just keep going. It's not bad, but you do need that. If there is a little bit of mold, it won't go through the whole thing. So there you go.